Greetings and salutations, YouTubers. This is Zillafan85. I'm back today with my latest video, my latest figure review. Here we are. It is now officially the month of October, and we're kicking off my spooky October figure reviews. So for today's video, as you guys can see, we're going to go ahead and take a look at my two Diamond Select Mummy figures. So both of these are based off of the original Mummy film from 1932, starring Boris Karloff as, of course, the Mummy Imhotep, and of course Ardif Bey, his more modern day form, if you will. But nonetheless, these figures are, of course, based off of his mummified version, which, unfortunately, is only seen at the beginning of the film. And then, of course, you see him as Ardif Bey throughout the remainder of it. I really like him in the bandages, of course, though. It's the signature mummy design, and was definitely very happy that I added these to the collection, especially for the display bases that they come with. This one here is the older release. I believe it came out in 2012, if I'm not mistaken. And then I think the re-release, and this is the Toys R Us exclusive version, which is why it has the smaller base on it, came out, I think, 2 years later in 2014, maybe 2015. Not sure offhand. But nonetheless, though, pretty cool figures. I was glad I added them into the collection, especially looking for some decent articulated mummy figures. That one is not, but this one is kind of the reason I wanted to throw this guy, get this guy as well. Now, of course, they released the NECA version of the Mummy, and I picked that one up along with the accessories set that includes the sarcophagus. I'll get to that review sometime in the future, probably not this year's Spooky October reviews, but certainly, like I said, planning to in the future. For now, though, we're going to take a look at these Diamond Select figures. Let's go ahead and jump into it with the paint and the detail. We're going to look at both. I had to keep normally I just bring in the accessories later, but they're not really standing well on their own, so that is something to note. So kind of needed to have the bases, accessories with them. So let's see here. Let's start with the paint and detail. We're going to start with this one, the older release first. That one's standing okay for the moment. So this one, like I said, not only we'll get into articulation later. But he's, as you can see, he's pretty much stuck in this pose. The paint scheme they use, like this very like this grayish sort of color scheme for all the wrap. Very dark, dirty look, and you can see some browns in there and even some black wash on there, and got, of course, all the detail work done for the wrapping throughout his entire body. Nothing too crazy, or obviously pretty much straightforward for both of the figures. But you can certainly see it. And then, of course, you got the sort of decayed skin for the hands. So done in that sort of color scheme here. Again, like a brownish gray, just a different shade than the wrapping. You do have the signature ring that he wears in sort of this bronzish color, if you will. It's not really gold, it's more like a bronze, I think, from what I can see. I'm trying the best I can, folks, with the camera to pick it up. Again, more of that brownish gray for the skin tone on the face here. And of course, he's in that sleeping pose with the eyes closed. You got the detail around the mouth and the nostril, all the wrinkles on the face. There's the detail work for the ears. You got that slick back hair, sort of grayish white slick back hair, as you guys can see there. Very, very cool. Very, very nice. The boots here in the bottom, done very well. Of course, you got the pegs there, even though this doesn't peg into anything. But you also got the trademark information for Diamond Select Toys, if that will pick it up there. And yep, this one did say 2012. So with that kind of covers his paint and detail work. And for him, And yes, I just decided to do both of these together. I figured they pretty much go hand in hand. So from Diamond Select. So he's got the awakened pose, as you guys can see. So the eyes are open. Again, sort of that grayish tone for the skin there. Sort of this off gray for the skin tone there. Of course, you got the detail work for the mouth and the nostrils. And again, all the wrinkles on the face and the ears. And again, with that slick back hair. The only thing is the slick back hair is done in a very similar color scheme as the face, so it's hard to kind of pick it out on this. I don't know if that's kind of considered a nitpick or not, but it is something to kind of take note of when looking at him. And then for the wrapping here, I think they did a better job. Looks a little bit better, a little cleaner. Sort of this off-white color scheme mixed with a little bit of gray on it. You do have some black wash as well, so you guys can see all that there. And done all over his body with the wrapping. Again, more of that grayish tone, like the face for the hands, and a little bit more of a prominent ring there with like that black jewel in the center there. Looks pretty good. Hopefully the camera's picking it up. I'm doing the best I can, folks, so, with the equipment that I've got. So but anyways, you can see all the detail work done for all the wrapping throughout the body here. Very, very cool. This definitely, out of the two figures, in my opinion, certainly the better of the two. Obviously redone and retooled a lot. And of course, all the articulation points that they added. So very, very cool, folks. So go ahead, put him. Let's see if I could stand him there for right now. Like I said, it doesn't always balance the best on its own without the base, and even the base a little iffy there. But nonetheless, that pretty much covers it for the paint and the detail work. Nothing crazy for these two figures. Again, the mummy design's pretty straightforward, so nothing too crazy there. As far as articulation goes, so for him, this is his only point of articulation on this one. Just the head can turn left and right. You can maybe force it to go all the way around. I'm not going to do that, but you can certainly turn it left and right. Doesn't really add much, and not really much point in it, given that he is in a sleeping pose. But still pretty cool nonetheless. Like I said, otherwise, though, he is stuck in this pose. So this is certainly more of just a display piece than anything else. But yeah, I'm just kind of setting him there for right now. And now for this guy, though, this is where they certainly retooled a lot. Here was the articulation. You can see the figure's a little bit bigger as well, which we'll do when we do the sizing. But as far as the articulation goes, so the head here is on a ball joint. The ball joint on mine is quite loose, as you guys can see. It should be stiffer than that. So you can get him looking up like that. You can get him looking down about yay far. Turn left and right. Again, you could probably, you can spin it all the way around if you want. And of course, you got the tilt action as well on the head. So, like I said, mine's very loose. As you can see, doesn't really hold its place too well. The arms here, now you've got this hinge there. So as you guys can see, and he can come out there. You can get a nice little T-pose going for him. It's about as high as it goes, as far up as it goes, I should say. Now you can also swivel, and you can get it to go pretty much all the way around. As you guys can see there, just a little stiff on mine. You do have a cut here for the biceps on both arms, and you can swivel that. Again, mine's kind of stiff, so it's pretty limited. I don't really move these guys around too much, so but you can certainly swivel that. Now you've got the hinge, single hinge on the elbows here, so you can bend about yay far. Pretty much, I'd say about 90 degrees. You're getting pretty close to it anyways. So pretty good bend there. The arm, and you could swivel as well. So again, so you guys can see that there. Here's the other elbow there, so you got the swivel You can get pretty decent range on that swivel there. You got a wrist here for the, or excuse me, you got a hinge here for the wrist, I should say. I'm sorry. And you get a nice little bend out of that. And you also get the swivel here for the wrist, as you guys can see there. All right, so mine, though, again, very, very tight. I can't really do it too far here on, pretty much on either wrist. And it tends to want to kind of go back in place. Technically, you should get more swivel than that on the wrist, but not bad otherwise. Now for the hips here, where the thighs join into the hips, you get a nice little split there. You got that hinge, as you guys can see, so you can hinge out about that much. Come in like that. You can kick forward about that far. Again, the other foot, so not too much, but not terrible. You can very, very slightly kick back with both legs there. You got a single hinge here at the knee. So bend in about yay far. Both knees. No swivel. And then, of course, you got another hinge here at the ankle. So you can hinge back about yay far, come forward about yay far. Same for the other foot. And a slight pivot there to get the ankle rocker, just because of the design of the cut there for the ankle. So again, so you guys can see that. So you get just a little bit of pivot there. So other than that, that pretty much covers it for the articulation. Pretty decent here. Nothing crazy, but not bad though. Not bad at all. Let's see. Let's go ahead. I'll just try to see if I can stand him here so we can take a look at the accessories. So the accessory for him here, as you guys can see, you just get this sort of basic stone slab base with these sort of rocky pieces there, as you guys can sort of see. These sort of sandy rocks that you've got there, I guess, sort of mimicking inside the tomb area there. Of course, you got this peg for the foot there, only a single peg, and it's not very deep either. So for a figure that's a little awkward to stand, it's not the easiest to deal with, but you know, I guess it gets the job done. Nice detail work though for the stone slab, done, you know, in the sort of grayish color with some these streaks in it, lighter gray streaks, and of course you got some brown on there and some black wash, and again more of the brown and black for the rocks as well. Of course, the lifted back part there. Nothing big on the bottom, just sort of plain Jane. So it is 2015 Diamond Select Toys, as you guys can see there. But a nice little base. The standard edition that wasn't the Toys R Us one has a bigger base and more accessories with it. So definitely something to know. Definitely a nicer base in my opinion, but not too bad though. Main thing was I really wanted to have sarcophagus with these, and then just to have an articulated figure. So that's kind of why I went in the direction I did. But you see, as you peg it in there, it can stay somewhat well, but it's not perfect. Now for this guy, we're just gonna set him down for the moment so we can take a look at the sarcophagus. As you guys can see, it is two separate pieces. I think design-wise, the NECA one that they released looks a little nicer, looks a little bit more accurate to the film. But this one's still pretty good, though, as well. And what a lot of people have noted, this one, though, what's really nice is it's very heavy. It's like a heavy plastic or even like a resin material, as some people have noted. So it's really, really cool. So, of course, the main part here, the front part of the sarcophagus, again, with that design work, here, a bit of Boris Karloff's likeness there. And, of course, you got the blue and bronzish color there, all the different color patterns through. I'm not going to go over everything, but you guys can sort of see though, got these different like reds and blues and greens, more red there and some black, and of course all that bronzish color done throughout the front here. Nice texturing. All the different sort of hieroglyphics that they've got on it. Really, really cool. It's not 100% accurate, like I said, but it's still captured pretty well. Looks really cool, and you guys can see how thick and heavy this thing is. So now you got all the cracks on the inside of it here, or on the bottom part of the lid, I should say. Again, more of that copperish color done throughout. Really looks cool. Taking a quick little look-see at the inside of the sarcophagus there. Some nice texture work there. It's sort of stonish sort of look. They didn't capture the hieroglyphics on the side there, which the NECA one did, and I will, obviously go into that when I review that figure. So this sort of plain Jane, but the base, though, nice little detail work. This sort of dirty-ish sort of feature that it has throughout it there. Sort of stonish color. Again, here, these like tans and browns for the base all around, as you guys can see, and some black wash done throughout, along with some cracking, whatnot done. Very cool. You guys can see, of course, the copyright information, 2012 for the base, and of course more of that cracking done on the bottom part of the base as well. There, you guys can see. Taking a nice little look-see all around. So very cool. So this guy does fit in here pretty much perfectly. So you just slide him in and then put the top on. For mine, it doesn't really seem to close fully, so I can't really fully push it down and get it to close correctly. For whatever reason, that's the case on mine. I don't know why, even, if I try to line it up as perfectly as I can, it just doesn't close right for mine. So that's about as good as I can get it there, like that. Obviously, like I said, for him, he just pegs onto that there. And he is too big. He will not fit inside here. So just to kind of show you guys that. But, yeah. Okay. So as you guys can see, he's larger than the other version, so he will not fit in there. So, nonetheless, though, that covers it for the accessories. And next up, let's go ahead and look at sizing here. So, I'm going to take out my ruler first and foremost. And let's take a look at this guy first off here, folks. So, as you guys can see, I'm not going to lift the camera up for him because I have to hold him in place to do the measurement there. But you guys can see there. So, he's about 7.5 inches in height when you look at it with the ruler. And now for this guy, and just sort of stand him as best as I possibly can for this. Like I said, my head's a little wobbly, so doing the best I can. But to take a little look-see, guys. So you can see he is roughly 8 inches in height. So 7.5 for the other one, and about 8 inches tall for this one. So not necessarily going to fit in perfectly with 6 to 7 inch figures, obviously, because these are a little larger. But, certainly with other Diamond Select figures that you may have, they do look pretty good together. Now, just as a little size comparison with him, another monster portrayed by Boris Karloff, and that, of course, is the Frankenstein monster, and this is the Jakks Pacific version. So, as you guys can see, the height difference there. This one is more like a 6.5 inch figure. So you guys can see it doesn't really fit. It doesn't size in well. But nonetheless, though, I mean, you can still, even if you're just going to put up a display, though, it's still kind of cool to have all these out on display for sure. I don't really necessarily mind the difference in sizes on these. But definitely just happy to have them nonetheless. And let's go ahead and set him into the sarcophagus, and him we're going to just peg into that base there. And so we can wrap things up here, folks. As far as pricing goes, again, these are a little older figures, and you can still come by them, but they're not going to be the absolute cheapest. Not as cheap as they were around $30-ish when they initially came out. Nowadays, though, if you're going to try to get a hold of these, I'd say you'd be looking at more around $50 or so. That's from what I've seen online, buying them obviously secondhand from sellers. So not the super cheapest. Are they worth the price? I mean, that's up for you guys to decide. They, like I said, NECA did release their own version now, which personally I think is a better figure. I'm not bringing it out for this video because I haven't reviewed it yet. When I do get around to reviewing it, though, of course, we'll bring these guys out for comparison with that one. Like I said, that'll be sometime in the future, though. But nonetheless, though, I mean, these are still cool figures, nice display bases. If you get the standard release of this one that has the larger base and has the statue of, I believe it's Isis, as well as some other accessory pieces, it's a really cool setup, I gotta admit that. Like I said, I just went for a little bit more simplicity with this base because I liked having the sarcophagus mainly. But the thing was, that mummy that comes with it is, again, just pretty much stuck in that pose other than the head can turn. So I wanted to still have an articulated version. So I got this as well. And, of course, I got all these before NECA released their own version. So if NECA's was already out at that time, I probably would have just gotten that one and not even gotten these, I'll be honest with you. But nonetheless, though, I still am happy to have them in my collection. And if you guys want a decent representation of the Boris Karloff figure, if you decide you don't want to go the route of NECA, you certainly can't go wrong, though, with Diamond Select. I still say that at the end of the day. Otherwise, though, folks, I think that pretty much sums it up for this video. I would like to thank you so much for watching. If you would like to subscribe, please feel free to do so. If you would like to like and or comment on any of my videos, please feel free to do so as well. And just remember, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, you be good to yourselves, and sayonara, and have a frightfully fantastic day.